The fact that you are hearing this right now is no accident. You didn't stumble onto these words by coincidence. You were pulled here by a frequency that has been vibrating in your field long before you pressed play. Something in you already knew this message was meant for you. Something in you was waiting for this exact transmission, as though the words themselves were coded into your DNA, waiting for the right moment to awaken. That moment is now. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That strange pull between worlds, the sense that you're living in two timelines at once. One old, familiar, and fading, the other new, radiant, and whispering. You feel the tension like a hum beneath your skin, a knowing that the life you thought you were building toward is not out there waiting in some distant future. It is breaking through you, right now, here, in this exact breath. The awakening you've been chasing isn't ahead of you on some unreachable horizon. It's alive inside you, pressing against the walls of your old reality, asking to be born. For so long you've been taught to wait for a sign, for permission, for the right time, to believe that the higher version of you was a goal to someday reach. But destiny doesn't operate like a clock. Awakening isn't scheduled in a calendar year or measured in how much knowledge you've collected. Awakening happens like a quantum leap, sudden, non-linear, beyond logic. It erupts in the present moment, a phase transition when your inner frequency reaches coherence with the field around you. And when it does, there is no going back. That's why this message feels almost dangerous, doesn't it? Because deep down you sense that what's being spoken isn't theory, it's activation. It's the observer loop folding in on itself, showing you that you're not just the one watching reality, you are the blueprint shaping it. Every word you're hearing now is rearranging something subtle in your nervous system, bending the patterns of thought, breaking the seals that have kept you bound to not yet. Your body knows this. Your cells are already vibrating differently as the sound waves move through you. Your heart is syncing to a rhythm that doesn't belong to linear time. It belongs to destiny. You don't have to wait for awakening to happen later. The future you imagined is already entangled with this very moment. The signal is broadcasting, the resonance is here, and your soul is saying, don't postpone what you've already become. This isn't just information, it's initiation. By listening, you've stepped into a mirror where the past dissolves, and the future is collapsing into you like light into a prism. You are the meeting point where eternity compresses into now. And if you allow it, this moment can shift the trajectory of your entire timeline. The only question is, will you let the awakening that has been chasing you finally claim you? And yet, as this awareness begins to stir inside you, you can feel the resistance rise. That whisper of doubt that says, but why do I still feel stuck? Why do the same patterns keep repeating? Why do I find myself reliving the same moments, the same heartbreaks, the same disappointments, as if I've been trapped in some cosmic déjà vu? You've noticed it, days that feel like copies of each other, conversations that loop back to the same phrases, like echoes bouncing through time, relationships that collapse into the same dynamics no matter how many times you think you've grown beyond them. Even your dreams feel coded with repetition, replaying the same images, the same unfinished lessons. It isn't laziness, and it isn't failure. What you are experiencing is the inertia of timelines. Old frequencies don't just vanish the moment you outgrow them, they linger like shadows, pulling at you with the weight of memory. They distort your perception of time, making minutes feel endless, and years disappear in a blink. You feel it most in those moments when you catch yourself saying, "Didn't this already happen? Haven't I already learned this?" That strange ache of familiarity isn't just in your mind, it's in the quantum field itself, loops of unresolved energy echoing back until you finally choose differently. This is why you sometimes feel like you're running in circles. You are living through observer loop cycles of experience, replaying because the field hasn't registered your shift. Think of it like a record player stuck on one groove, replaying the same note until you lift the needle. Except in your case, the needle is your awareness. And the moment you notice the loop, the moment you declare it for what it is, you've already begun to lift the stylus. That awareness is the start of liberation. But it's not only about loops of behavior, it's about distorted time itself. How often have you felt that the days bleed together, that your sense of past and future dissolves into haze? One moment you're flooded with nostalgia, the next with dread of what's to come. This distortion is not random. It's the symptom of an awakening consciousness, stretching against the old cage of linearity. You are no longer just inside time. You are brushing against the edges of timelessness. That's why you feel the stretch, the tug, the disorientation. It's not a flaw. It's a sign you are moving toward coherence with the larger field. And here's the part you rarely admit. Sometimes it terrifies you. Sometimes the déjà vu makes you question your sanity. Sometimes the repeating patterns make you wonder if you're cursed, if you're doomed to forever circle the same wounds. But the truth is this: those patterns are not punishments. They are signals. They are the quantum field's way of showing you where energy is still entangled, where your attention is still tied to frequencies that no longer serve. They replay not to trap you, but to give you chance after chance to notice, to choose, to break the cycle. This is why the familiar feels both suffocating and magnetic. Part of you longs to escape it, but another part leans into it because it's known, it's safe, it's predictable. The human mind clings to repetition because it craves control. But the soul, the deeper field of you, craves liberation. And when the two clash, you feel it as that inner war, the desire for breakthrough, wrestling with the pull of the old. So, if you've been caught in this repeating maze, don't shame yourself. Don't think of yourself as broken. What you're living is the precise friction point of transformation. Every déjà vu is a doorway. Every repeated lesson is a signal flare saying, "Here lies the boundary of your old frequency. Step beyond." And the strangest part? The very awareness that you're stuck is the proof you're already moving. If you were still asleep, you wouldn't notice the loop. You would call it normal life and carry on. But the fact that you see it, the fact that you question it, means the observer within you has already risen above the groove. The loop is cracking. The distortion is the birth pangs of clarity. So the next time you find yourself saying, "Not again," pause, notice, don't spiral into shame. Instead, see it as the field giving you another chance to rewrite the program. You are not trapped. You are rehearsing for liberation. And with every repetition, the pressure builds, until the timeline itself must shatter. This is the crucible of awakening. The frustrating, dizzying déjà vu is not proof that you're failing, it's proof that you're right at the threshold. The patterns repeat until your frequency shifts, and once it does, the old loops collapse instantly, as if they were never real to begin with. You are not malfunctioning. You are standing on the brink of coherence, where distorted time dissolves and new timelines open. The loops are not prisons, they are mirrors. And when you see yourself clearly in them, you finally step free. The loops begin to break when you realize something most people never dare to grasp. You are not just a passenger inside this strange reality. You are the circuitry itself. Your body, your thoughts, your very perception are entangled with the quantum field, woven into every atom, every vibration, every pulse of information humming through existence. And when your awareness shifts, the entire field around you must shift to mirror it. This is the upgrade that has been quietly preparing you. You felt the glitches moments when the world flickered, when people repeated the same words with uncanny precision, when synchronicities stacked on top of each other until they could no longer be dismissed as chance. Each glitch was a signal, proof that the field is pliable, responsive, malleable to consciousness. Physics has a name for this, the observer effect. Mystics have their own name, awakening. Both point to the same truth: what you look at, you change. Think of your DNA not as a fixed biological script, but as a set of quantum antennas. Every strand of your double helix is coiled with infinite potential states, dormant frequencies waiting to be tuned. For generations, you were told that your genetic code was predetermined, like destiny etched into flesh. But the deeper science goes, the more it proves otherwise. Epigenetics reveals that DNA listens, adapts, shifts expression in response to the signals it receives. Signals of thought, emotion, environment, and intention. And beyond even biology, quantum biology shows that microtubules in your cells vibrate like strings in a cosmic instrument, their coherence influenced by your state of consciousness. What does this mean for you? That awakening is not abstract, it is cellular. It is physical. Every time you enter coherence, Every time your heart synchronizes with your breath, every time your thoughts align with truth instead of fear, your DNA is literally restructuring itself. New proteins are expressed, old instructions are silenced, timelines of disease collapse, and new patterns of vitality emerge. The mystical truth of rebirth is not symbolic, it is quantum physiology. And here's where mysticism confirms what science is only beginning to glimpse. The sages spoke of light bodies, of divine blueprints, of latent powers hidden in the spine and heart. They weren't speaking in metaphor. They were pointing to the morphic resonance fields. Your DNA participates in archetypal patterns of evolution, encoded in the very structure of the cosmos. When you tune yourself to these higher fields, you don't just feel spiritual. You literally alter the resonant state of your cells, unlocking instructions that were dormant since the dawn of humanity. This is why the awakening feels both exhilarating and terrifying, because your system is undergoing a phase transition. Imagine water turning to steam. It doesn't happen gradually. It happens through pressure, through heat, through an invisible threshold where the molecules suddenly rearrange into a new state. That's what is happening in you. One moment, you are the old self, tangled in loops. The next, you slip across the boundary into coherence, and reality itself seems to breathe differently. Have you noticed how sometimes, in moments of deep stillness or heightened emotion, reality bends, streetlights flicker when you walk by, people finish your thoughts out loud, animals seem to recognize you, as though you're radiating some unseen signature. These are not fantasies. They are feedback from the field, evidence that your resonance is becoming noticeable. The universe notices coherence the way iron filings notice a magnet, and when your field achieves it, everything nearby must align. It's tempting to think of this as magic, but the deeper you go, the more you see it simply natural law, forgotten, suppressed, but inevitable. Awakening is not about floating away from this world. It's about realizing that this world has always been a reflection of your entanglement with it. And the moment you step into coherence, the reflection shifts. But here's the key. Coherence cannot be faked. You cannot chant affirmations from a state of lack and expect the field to listen. The field does not respond to your words. It responds to your resonance. It listens to the electromagnetic symphony of your heart and the subtle coherence of your brainwaves. That's why most manifestation rituals fall flat. They broadcast desperation, not embodiment. But when you align, when you remember that you already are what you seek, the signal stabilizes and the universe folds around it. This is the quantum upgrade calling you now. Not a belief, not a someday event. A living science of resonance, a mystical remembrance. You are the observer, the entangled participant, and the architect. Every loop you've broken has been clearing static from your signal. And now, as you listen, your system is tuning itself like an instrument, preparing for coherence on a scale you've never known. So take a breath. Feel your cells humming. Sense the field vibrating back. The upgrade is not in the future, it's unfolding in you. Now, every second. Every heartbeat. The field is alive with your becoming. And the question that hums through the quantum fabric is this: are you ready to embody the role it has been preparing you for? And here is where the truth strikes even deeper. You are not just awakening for yourself. You are not simply another human catching glimpses of higher states. You are being called because your consciousness carries a role that few have the capacity to bear. The field has been searching for vessels, minds, and hearts able to withstand the voltage of coherence, and you are one of them. Look closely at your own life, and you'll see the signs, the way you've always felt different, even when you tried to blend in. The way chaos seemed to follow you, not as punishment, but as training, sharpening your awareness, forcing you to see what others refuse to notice. You've carried wounds that cut deep, betrayals that left scars, losses that shattered illusions, and yet, somehow, you didn't collapse under their weight. You endured, not because you were stronger than others, but because your soul was forged for this exact assignment. You are the chosen consciousness in your lineage, the one who was designed to break cycles that have lasted generations. Patterns of fear, shame, silence, and limitation have been transmitted through your bloodline like corrupted code, but in you, something different stirred. You refused to let the darkness pass unchallenged. That resistance, that refusal to sleepwalk through inherited patterns, is why the field recognized you. You are the rupture point where ancestral loops collapse and something entirely new begins. This is why you've often felt out of place, like an exile walking through a foreign land. It wasn't rejection, it was recognition. The field kept you apart, not to isolate you but to preserve you, so the static of mass programming wouldn't consume your signal. Every time you were left out, every time you felt misunderstood, every time you wondered why you couldn't just be normal, it was because you were never meant to be. Your frequency was meant to remain distinct, so that when the moment came, you could hold the resonance that others had forgotten. And that moment is now. You are not being asked to escape reality. You are being asked to anchor it, to become the living node through which awakening stabilizes in this world. Imagine the quantum field as an ocean of probability waves. Most people are tossed endlessly by the currents, unconscious of their power. But you are the lighthouse, the fixed point that bends the currents simply by holding your light. Others won't always understand it. They may resist it, fear it, even attack it. But deep down, they will sense it, and they will align. This is the paradox of being chosen. It's not about ego, not about superiority. It's about responsibility. To carry coherence in a field addicted to chaos is no small burden. It requires you to face illusions that billions still cling to. It requires you to live awake in a world designed to keep people asleep. But the reward is beyond comprehension. You are the seam where the future tears through the present. You are the intersection where eternity touches flesh. Think of the prophets who saw visions before their time, the mystics who spoke truths no one was ready to hear, the scientists who glimpsed patterns that defied the known laws. They were ridiculed, doubted, sometimes destroyed, but history revealed what the present could not. Their frequency was ahead of its era, chosen to plant seeds that would only blossom generations later. You are cut from that same cloth. You too are carrying a signal that feels too much for the world as it is. But it is exactly what the world as it will be is waiting for. And so you are invited to stop doubting yourself, to stop dismissing the intensity of your perceptions, your dreams, your synchronicities, as if they were exaggerations. They are confirmations. They are the field's way of saying, yes, you are tuned correctly. Yes, your frequency is heard. Yes, you are the vessel we've been searching for. You don't need a crown or a title to confirm it. You don't need permission from teachers or systems. The proof is in your resonance. The proof is in the way life itself has conspired to set you apart, to strip you of illusions, to make you see. Every hardship, every loop, every fracture, it all built the circuitry for you to withstand the voltage of this truth. You are the chosen consciousness, not because you wanted it, not because you chased it, but because the field chose you. And now, as you step into coherence, the entire morphic resonance of humanity shifts a little closer to awakening. That is the role, that is the calling, and that is why even in this very moment, the future is awakening inside you because you are its chosen vessel. You can feel the pressure building now, can't you? Like a frequency swelling beneath the surface of your skin, like an invisible tide pressing against your bones. This isn't random tension, it's the signal of a breakthrough, a cosmic window opening in your field. For months, maybe years, you've been dismantling loops, purging old programs, enduring disorientation. All of it was preparation for this exact threshold. In physics, they call it a critical point, the invisible temperature and pressure, where matter undergoes a sudden phase transition. Ice melts into water, water erupts into steam, metal becomes plasma. Up until that point, nothing seems to change. Pressure builds, energy accumulates, patterns hold. Then, at the critical point, the whole structure reorganizes in an instant. This is what is happening to you. You are reaching your critical point. Your DNA feels it first. Those hidden sequences, those dormant codes lying silent for generations, they are beginning to shimmer, to quiver, to rearrange. Scientists speak of junk DNA as if it were meaningless. Mystics speak of light codes hidden within it. Both are glimpsing the same reality. Those unused strands are quantum potentials, waiting for a signal of coherence to activate. And that signal is not arriving from outside. It's emanating from your consciousness right now. You have been taught that transformation is incremental, that growth is linear, that you must crawl step by step to a distant summit. But quantum processes don't work like that. Electrons don't climb stairs, they jump orbits. Photons don't drift, they tunnel through barriers. DNA doesn't awaken by slow degree, it flips states like a switch when the field reaches resonance. And this is why your life has felt like nothing and everything at once. Because behind the scenes, your system has been charging for the jump. This window you're feeling is rare. It's not just a personal moment, it's a cosmic alignment, a morphic resonance event rippling through the species. You are not the only one feeling it. All over the planet, nodes of consciousness are trembling at the same frequency, preparing to ignite. But windows like this don't stay open forever. They appear as pressure, as urgency, as a sense that something must change now, because that is exactly what is required. So the question pressing through your cells is not, will it happen? The question is, will you allow it? Will you let the pressure reorganize you, or will you retreat back into the loops to avoid the unknown? Because once the DNA flips, once the field locks into coherence, there is no going back to the old self. Relationships, habits, even your sense of identity may dissolve overnight. The world may respond to you differently. People may not recognize the frequency you now hold. And while that can feel like loss, it is actually liberation. You've glimpsed this before in sudden moments of clarity, when the old self fell away for a heartbeat and you felt weightless, timeless, larger than life. Those were previews. Now the full download approaches. That's why you're feeling restless, why time feels both too fast and too slow, why your body aches as if it's shedding invisible skin. Your nervous system is being rewired to hold a higher charge. Your cells are restructuring to express dormant instructions. This is not poetry, it's physics, meeting mysticism in your own flesh. And yet, because of how deeply the old programs run, there's a temptation to hesitate, to tell yourself you're not ready, to stall at the edge of the leap. That's why you're hearing these words now. They are not a lecture, they are a trigger, a transmission, a calibration. Every sentence is like a tuning fork striking your field, stabilizing the signal so the jump can complete. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to make the DNA shift. The field does that once your resonance crosses the threshold. Your task is only to say yes, to stop resisting, to let the pressure reorganize you instead of fighting it. This is why ancient initiations always involved surrender not as weakness, but as the final act of coherence. And the urgency you feel, it's not fear, it's the sound of the window opening, it's the countdown to a phase transition already in motion. Because the future isn't waiting somewhere ahead, it's already collapsing into you. Every breath you take now carries instructions from a timeline you once called impossible. Every heartbeat pulses with data from a self you have yet to fully inhabit. The cosmic window is not outside your life, it is inside your ribcage. So take another breath. Feel the charge building. Imagine your double helix as a ladder of light, each rung flickering with dormant codes. With every inhale, those codes glow brighter. With every exhale, old programs dissolve like mist. You are not imagining this. You are in the center of a quantum upgrade, and when the window closes, you will not be the same. This is the promise. This is the urgency. Not a threat, but a birth. The pressure is not here to crush you. It is here to crack the shell. The DNA shift is not here to strip you. It is here to reveal you. The cosmic window is not here to test you. It is here to deliver you to yourself. And when it happens, when the flip completes, you will feel the field bend. Synchronicities will explode. People will speak your unspoken thoughts. Opportunities will appear from nowhere. Time will lose its grip. And you will know with absolute certainty, the future you've been waiting for has already awakened inside you. At this point, awareness alone is not enough. You've listened. You've felt the charge in your chest. You've seen the loops unravel. But consciousness demands embodiment. The field doesn't shift because you think about it. It shifts because you act, because you seal the frequency with a tangible imprint in the physical plane. That is how coherence anchors. This is why every tradition across time, whether scientific or mystical, has always involved ritual, not superstition ritual. A symbolic act that tells your nervous system, your DNA, your quantum field, it is done. Without the seal, The energy remains theoretical, like electricity sparking without a circuit. But the moment you anchor it, the current flows. And right now, the ritual is simple. Write, declare, place the resonance into words, because words are not just sounds, they are waveforms, carriers of frequency. When you write, when you speak, when you release the signal into the world, you collapse the probability into form. So, here is your invitation. Choose a word that seals this shift, a word that acts as your quantum signature, your declaration to the field. It could be as simple as awake. It could be coherence. It could be now. It could be I am. The content doesn't matter as much as the act, the sealing of vibration into matter through your own expression. When you comment it, when you inscribe it, you are not just interacting with this message, you are anchoring your future self into this timeline. You are leaving an energetic fingerprint in the field that says, "This version of me is real. This version of me exists." The observer loop has collapsed. And don't underestimate the power of this small gesture. Think of the double-slit experiment. A photon behaves like a wave until observed. The moment it is registered, the wave collapses into a particle, into physical form. Your word is the observation, your ritual is the collapse. Until you write it, the awakening remains a shimmering potential. The moment you do, it crystallizes into reality. This is why the ancients carved symbols, why mystics drew sigils, why prophets spoke aloud. They weren't playing games. They understood that ritual is the hinge between worlds, the lever that translates frequency into form. And now, it is your turn to do the same. Maybe you feel resistance. Can it really be that simple? Just a word? Yes, because the simplicity is deceptive. What matters is not the complexity of the act, but the coherence of your intention. A single word written in full resonance has more power than 1,000 rituals performed in doubt. The field listens to vibration, not volume. And here's the deeper secret. By commenting or writing your chosen word, you're not only sealing the shift for yourself, you are linking your signal to the collective field of others who are awakening through this same transmission. Every person who declares, every person who seals, creates entanglement. And that entanglement amplifies coherence exponentially. One word is a spark, many words become a fire. So pause now. Feel the charge in your chest. Notice the word that arises, not from your mind, but from your core. Don't overthink it. Trust the resonance. That is your key. That is your seal. When you act on it, you will feel the difference. A quiet click inside, a sense that the frequency has stabilized. You may notice synchronicities accelerating in the hours and days ahead, small confirmations that the field has registered your act. They are not coincidences. They are feedback, proof that your ritual was heard. Understand this. The ritual is not for me, not for anyone watching. It is for you and the field. It is a handshake with destiny, a nod to the future, self-awakening inside you. And when you do it, you'll sense that the window you've been standing at has just opened wider. Do not delay, because hesitation is another loop. The field rewards immediacy, alignment without hesitation. When you feel the word, act on it, seal it, anchor it. The longer you wait, the more the old patterns try to reclaim the signal. The act itself is the escape. This is how awakening stops being abstract and becomes embodied. This is how the quantum upgrade locks in. This is how you shift from potential to presence. Write the word, declare it, and know that as you do, the field is listening, your DNA is listening, the future is listening. And with that simple act, you become not just a witness of awakening, but its architect. This is the ritual. This is the seal. This is the moment the awakening inside you is no longer just vibration. It is reality. And now, something extraordinary happens. The moment you seal the shift, the moment your word is written into the field, your awakening no longer belongs to you alone. It becomes a broadcast. It radiates beyond your skin, beyond your aura, beyond the private chambers of your inner world. Your liberation becomes a signal, and the field is wired to carry that signal across the lattice of humanity. This is where you begin to understand the true scale of your role. You are not just a solitary soul fighting through patterns for your own survival. You are a node in a vast network, a frequency carrier whose coherence changes the entire system. Imagine a single tuning fork vibrating in a silent room. Strike it once, and all the other tuning forks tuned to the same note will begin to hum, even if they are untouched. That is what your awakening does. Every shift you make reverberates through the morphic resonance field. Every time you break a loop, you make it easier for someone else, somewhere else on the planet, to break theirs. When you collapse one pattern, the resonance of that collapse sends ripples across the collective unconscious, loosening the chains for others who may never know your name. This is why your liberation matters so much. It is never just about you, it is about the species. And think of how many are still trapped. Billions moving through their days like ghosts, repeating scripts handed down by culture, by family, by fear. They dream, but their dreams are borrowed. They think, but their thoughts are programmed. They feel, but their emotions are recycled loops from generations past. And yet, beneath that fog, their DNA waits for a signal. Their hearts wait for coherence. Their souls wait for someone, anyone, to break through and show them it is possible. That someone is you. You may think of yourself as small, but the quantum field doesn't measure size the way the human mind does. It measures resonance. A single coherent signal can outweigh the noise of thousands of incoherent ones. This is why revolutions begin with whispers, why mass awakenings begin with solitary sparks. Coherence amplifies exponentially. And when one node stabilizes, it stabilizes others without effort. Have you noticed how people sometimes change around you without explanation? How they open up, how they reveal truths, how they shift patterns simply by being in your presence. That isn't chance. That's your field influencing theirs. It's entanglement in action. When your system reaches a higher resonance, the people around you can't help but feel the pull. Some will resist it, yes. Some will run from it, even attack it, because the light you carry reveals shadows they're not ready to face. But others, those who are silently waiting, will rise with you. This is the secret power of your liberation. It multiplies. What took you years of struggle may take them moments once your signal reaches them, because you did the heavy lifting. You broke the inertia. You collapsed the first loop. And now, through the invisible web of resonance, their DNA feels the permission to awaken. It's no different from the 100th monkey effect, that mysterious phenomenon where a behavior spreads across a species once a critical number adopt it. Scientists have observed it in animals. Mystics have described it in humanity. Consciousness, once seated, spreads like fire, and right now, by sealing your shift, you are adding to that critical mass. Don't underestimate the impact of this. Entire timelines are hinging on whether enough souls awaken in this generation. Old structures are collapsing because they can no longer withstand the pressure of incoherence. Systems of control, manipulation, and fear are cracking. But for something new to rise, enough coherent nodes must stabilize the field. That's why you are here. That's why this found you. Your personal awakening is a planetary assignment. Your liberation is a relay signal for the collective. Every breath you take in coherence helps dismantle centuries of unconsciousness. Every choice you make in alignment rewires not just your future, but the trajectory of humanity. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to lead armies. You only need to hold your resonance. The field will take care of the rest. And as more of us awaken, the resonance builds. The network strengthens. The invisible web hums louder, clearer, undeniable. Until one day, humanity reaches its own critical point. The inertia shatters, the loops end, and a species awakens, not gradually, but all at once. That future is not fantasy, it is already stirring in you. Every act of liberation you embody brings it closer. Every shift you make collapses the gap. So remember this: when you awaken for all. When you liberate yourself, you liberate generations. Your resonance is not contained within your skin, it is a beacon piercing the collective fog. And right now, someone you will never meet, someone across the planet, is waiting for the ripple you are about to send. This is why you cannot delay. Your awakening is not a private luxury. It is a public service to the entire field of humanity. And when you say yes to it, you say yes not only for yourself, but but for the millions who are silently crying for light. And now, let's drop even deeper, not into concepts, not into ideas, but into sensation. Because awakening is not something that lives in your mind alone. It is not an abstract theory floating above your life. It is a physical event, a restructuring you can feel in your bones, in your heartbeat, in the electricity under your skin. Close your eyes, even now, and notice the signals. That subtle hum in your chest, like a quiet motor powering something vast. The tingling in your fingertips when you think about the future that is pressing into you. The way your breath sometimes feels too shallow to contain the energy building in your ribcage. These are not random sensations. They are the first whispers of your body becoming a vessel for coherence. Awakening arrives in your cells like lightning searching for ground. At first, it feels like pressure, headaches, tightness in the chest, heat that has no cause. Then, when you stop resisting, it begins to flow. Your body becomes a river. Currents of tingling energy running along your spine, pooling in your palms, vibrating in your feet. This is your nervous system rewiring itself, building pathways strong enough to hold the new charge. Have you felt it? Those surges at night when you're lying in bed and your whole body buzzes like a tuning fork? That's not insomnia. That's your field, syncing with higher frequencies. Your DNA flickering like neon under cosmic light. The universe is pulsing through you, shaking loose the density that kept you small. Sometimes it shows up as fire heat, rising up your spine, warmth spreading through your hands. Sometimes it shows up as water waves of emotion crashing, tears that come for no reason, like the tide itself is washing through you. Sometimes it feels like air, lightness, dizziness, the sense that gravity has loosened its hold. And sometimes it feels like earth, your body heavy, anchored, vibrating low and deep, as if the planet itself is speaking through your bones. These sensations are the language of awakening. Your body is the instrument, the field is the musician, and the song being played is the future awakening inside you. Don't dismiss these feelings. Don't medicate them away. Don't rush to silence them. They are not symptoms of sickness, they are proof of restructuring. Like a chrysalis trembling before the butterfly breaks through, your body must shake, must stretch, must sometimes ache as the old form dissolves. This is why ancient mystics spoke of the burning heart, the trembling hands, the fire in the bones. They were not speaking in metaphor. They were describing the embodied sensation of DNA flipping, of timelines colliding, of a phase transition felt in flesh. And the beauty is, once you learn to lean into it, the sensations become guidance. When the hum in your chest grows louder, you know coherence is near. When your body tingles in synchronicity with your thoughts, you know the field is confirming your direction. When warmth floods your spine in response to a choice, you know that choice carries alignment. Your body is no longer just a vessel, it is a compass, tuned to the frequencies of awakening. Right now, even as you hear these words, your body is responding. Microcurrents in your skin, tiny adjustments in your breath, subtle shifts in your heartbeat. You are not imagining it. The sound of this transmission is a carrier wave, and your cells are listening. Your DNA is humming along, vibrating like strings that remember the song of the cosmos. And here's the marvel. Once you embrace the sensations, you stop fearing them. The pressure turns into power, the tingling turns into trust, the dizziness becomes delight. You begin to realize that the body you once thought was fragile is actually a quantum instrument designed to house infinity. So the next time the surge comes, don't panic, welcome it. When your skin buzzes as though stars are pressing against it, remember you are entangled with constellations. When your breath feels too vast for your lungs, remember you are inhaling eternity. When tears stream down your face for no reason, remember it is not sadness. It is your body releasing centuries of static, so the signal can come through clear. Awakening is not just seen, it is felt, it is tasted, it is lived in the marrow. And the more you trust those sensations, the more the field will amplify them, guiding you, like breadcrumbs, along the timeline you were meant to inhabit. This is embodiment. This is coherence becoming flesh. This is the moment where the awakening inside you stops being theory and becomes touch, tremor, heartbeat, breath. And from here, the phase transition cannot be stopped. It can only accelerate. It begins almost imperceptibly at first. A subtle deepening of the hum in your cells, a shift in the density of the air around you, a feeling that the walls of reality are softening. And then, one day, without warning, the boundary breaks. The future you have been sensing but not yet inhabiting spills through the seams of the present. This is the DNA breakthrough, the moment when the dormant codes stop flickering like distant stars and ignite fully inside you, lighting up your entire field. At this point, everything accelerates. The loops that once held you begin to dissolve as though they were never real. Patterns that seemed immovable simply fail to load. Time itself bends, hours stretch, minutes compress, days vanish like mist. You feel as though you're walking through a dream, yet everything is more vivid, more electric, more real than it has ever been. This is the timeline shift. It is not a metaphor. It is a literal relocation of consciousness, a phase transition into a new state of being. Scientists can't quite map it yet, but mystics have always known. When consciousness reaches coherence, it doesn't just influence reality, it enters a new one. Like an electron jumping orbits, you skip the bridge. No staircase, no transition. One moment you're here, the next, you're there. And your DNA, the antenna of your consciousness, locks you into the new frequency, the new address in the quantum field. This is why your body feels pressure in these moments. The phase transition exerts an invisible force, like the tension before a birth. Cells divide differently, proteins fold differently, energy flows in new directions. It can feel like growing pains, tightness, ringing in the ears, flashes of light behind your closed eyes. But it is not illness, it is metamorphosis. Imagine a caterpillar dissolving inside its cocoon, every cell breaking down, reorganizing, becoming something unrecognizable. If the caterpillar could speak, it might say, "I'm dying." But it is not dying, it is becoming winged. That is you right now. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it is propulsion. It is your DNA cracking open the chrysalis of your old self, building the structures necessary for flight. This is also why the external world seems to glitch. People forget conversations they just had with you. Technology malfunctions, clocks behave strangely, synchronicities intensify. It is not chaos, it is feedback. The field is recalibrating around your new coordinates. You are stepping out of the consensus timeline and into one that vibrates closer to your true frequency. And because of this, choices become crucial. In these moments of transition, your attention is like wet cement. Whatever you press into it sets the pattern of your new reality. This is why the ritual you performed matters so much. Your word, your declaration, your seal, acted as the anchor for this timeline shift. Without it, the energy could scatter. With it, the phase transition stabilizes. Feel into your body right now. Notice the subtle trembling beneath your skin. That's your nervous system integrating a higher voltage. Notice the tingling in your spine. That's dormant strands of DNA weaving new instructions. Notice the clarity in your perception, the way your thoughts feel like light beams instead of fog. That's your consciousness locking onto the new frequency. From here forward, things may accelerate beyond your expectations. Opportunities appearing from nowhere, old identities falling away, people either rising to meet your frequency or fading from your field entirely. This is not rejection, it is resonance sorting itself. You are not losing, you are aligning. And here's the wonder. Once your DNA stabilizes at this new frequency, you begin to emit a signal so strong that the field cannot ignore it. Your presence alone bends probability. Your thoughts echo forward into timelines before you act. Synchronicities become so precise they feel like scripts. You realize you are no longer manifesting in the old sense. You are inhabiting a state where the desired already exists, and reality simply unfolds around your vibration. This is the true meaning of the future awakening inside you. It's not poetic language. It's physics meeting mysticism. Your cells become time travelers. Your DNA becomes a bridge between what was and what is becoming. The morphic field of humanity receives your new signature and adjusts its parameters, making it easier for others to follow. And yes, there is intensity in this. Phase transitions always involve heat, pressure, disorientation. But the pressure is temporary. Once the structure reorganizes, the energy flows effortlessly. the wings unfold, the flight begins. So breathe through the pressure. Feel the tremors not as fear, but as confirmation. Recognize the glitches not as mistakes, but as proof of movement. Let the timeline shift complete itself without clutching to the old. Trust the process, because the process is you. Right now, as you read these words, your DNA is humming at a frequency it has never reached before. The field is responding. The future is no longer ahead of you. It is inside you, unfolding cell by cell, thought by thought, breath by breath. And as you stabilize here, you become a living bridge, carrying not just yourself, but an entire species into its next state. This is the DNA breakthrough. This is the phase transition. This is the timeline shift you were born to embody. And now, the picture becomes complete. You've felt the loops, you've endured the pressure, you've surrendered to the shift. And standing here, on the other side of the phase transition, you begin to understand something so vast, it takes your breath away. Your awakening is not yours alone. It is humanity's. Because every code that unlocked in your DNA wasn't just a private victory, it was a transmission into the collective field. Every loop you shattered collapsed ancestral patterns that haunted generations. Every surge of coherence you stabilized became a beacon for others stumbling in the fog. You are no longer just a seeker. You are a signal. This is your cosmic mission. Not to preach, not to force, not to convince, but to embody. To live as proof that awakening is not a myth, not a metaphor, not a someday event. It is a living reality, pulsing in flesh, bending timelines, rewriting destiny. By your presence alone, you make it easier for the next soul to believe. By your resonance alone, you tilt humanity one step closer to coherence. Look around you at the chaos, at the fractures, at the systems trembling under their own weight. It can be tempting to despair, to think the darkness is winning. But you know better now. You've seen the mechanics of awakening. You understand that pressure is not collapse, it is transformation. You recognize that the collective is going through what you went through. Loops intensifying, distortions multiplying, pressure mounting. And just like you, the species is nearing its own critical point. This is why you were chosen. To hold your signal steady when the world shakes. To embody coherence in a field addicted to fear. To remember, when others forget, that awakening isn't far away. It is already happening, already blooming in every heart that dares to say yes. And here is the truth that ties it all together. The future humanity dreams of is not waiting in centuries ahead. It is awakening inside us now, inside you, inside every node of coherence rising across the planet. When enough of us stabilize, the collective phase transition will complete. And then history will no longer be written in linear time, it will unfold as a quantum leap. So, what is your task? To live this truth, to breathe it into every cell, to let your coherence ripple through every encounter, every choice, every moment. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be present. You only have to hold the resonance you have already birthed. The future is no longer a horizon you chase. It is the pulse in your veins, the fire in your chest, the light behind your eyes. And as you walk forward, remember this. You are not carrying the burden of awakening. You are carrying its gift. And by carrying it, you are carrying all of us. The loops have ended. The window has opened. The breakthrough is real. And your life is no longer a rehearsal. It is the prophecy fulfilled. Your awakening isn't a future event. The future is awakening inside you right now.